Hello, 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 my friends, my sisters. This is Aaliyah back with my commitment I made to you guys, and I made a commitment to myself about coming live on Sundays and coming live because I just really desire to create the community that I need, create the community that I desire. So I'm streaming doubly on Facebook Live, also on Instagram Live, and we're going to go ahead and get started today because I have a limited amount of time, and I just wanted to hop on real quick and tell you guys a little bit that's been going on in my mind this week. So first, I'm having a mimosa because that's what I seem to love to do when I do these Sunday talks, and I'm using a glass that says Vintage 1978. I got a gift about a year or so ago, and I don't know who sent me the gift. So whoever you are, thank you, thank you. I'm using my wine glass. For this talk today, I really want to think about this idea of imposter syndrome. But first, I'm going to tell you a story about how I chose this topic because I think it really illustrates what imposter syndrome is, as well as how we can kind of get through it. And for those of you guys who are joining me for the first time, I'm Aaliyah McDaniel. I'm a self-love coach. More than anything, I'm your sister. I'm here going through this journey. I'm here teaching what I've learned. I'm here really helping to liberate you and to help you choose your own liberation and choose your own joy and choose to love yourself so that you can just be the badass that you are designed to be. Yesterday, I was sitting talking with my sisters, and I was getting ready to write a newsletter for my group, for my mailing list, and I found myself just really stuck on what to write. I had it in my heart to write, and I had it in my heart to create community, and I had it in my heart to reach out and just to kind of check in and see what people are up to and give them some words of encouragement. But I was really unstuck on the format. And I found myself going through all these notes and finding how to write an email and how to do all of these things and just kind of getting stuck in the busyness and in the format and in the how. And it hit me as I was talking to my sister about this was that sometimes we get stuck in the details, we get stuck in the logistics, and we get stuck in doing the things because we're afraid of the message itself. We're afraid of the what, so we get really distracted by the how. And especially for those of us that are really have people that have made some achievements, and we've had some gains, and we have some successes by the world standard, we can get really trapped into doing everything right and to doing everything perfect because that's part of how we have been trained. But in doing that, we don't realize that in that quest for doing it right, we're really afraid of the what. We're afraid of doing imperfect, not because we're afraid of judgment, but because we're afraid of our own message and we're afraid of our own power. We're afraid sometimes that what we have to share with the world is either too much, and are really worried if people are going to get it. We're worried about if we're going to be rejected. We're worried about if it's going to land in the way that we desire for it to. We worry that we may not be equipped enough. We worry that we may not have the right words, or that it's going to fall on deaf ears, or that we'll be misunderstood. And in all of that worry, which are also part of imposter syndrome, we start to then we create systems to make that worry make sense. So there's this idea sometimes of bias confirmation. And bias confirmation is the idea that whatever you believe or whatever you think, whatever you already believe to be true, we're going to constantly be seeking out and finding examples to affirm that. And it happens in the negative, and it can happen in the positive. With imposter syndrome, it happens in the negative because we already have all of this fear that we're not enough, or that, who are we to X, Y, Z. And so then we start to look for examples and reasons why this is true. And so then that's when we start comparing ourselves to others. We start comparing ourselves to the greats, or to the masters, or to whoever it is. And we say, I'm not Oprah. I'm not Iyanla. I'm not, Steve Jobs. I'm not all of these people. So how am I qualified or good enough to be able to share this message? Hey, Desiree, thank you for joining. And we lose sight of what it is that we're really called to do. And so when we have that doubt, or we have this kind of busy making of looking for the logistics and looking for our way out, we do it and we start comparing ourselves to others because we don't really believe in the mission, and we don't really believe in the desire that's in our heart. We don't believe in what's been called for us to do. And we don't believe that our message is powerful enough or good enough or that it's going to land on the right people. And so I say that because I go through that myself. I go through that every day in my 9 to 5. And I go through that, even as I show up weekly for you guys or daily for you guys, about wondering if I'm the one that's truly called and really chosen to speak to you or to share with you or to guide you or facilitate you. And even as I sit and I think about this message, I think about that, there are going to be very few of us that are called to be the ones that impact billions or ones that are going to impact and change the whole world. But each of us have our own sphere of influence, whether it's the 5 people that are closest to you, whether it's the 50 people that you interact with on a daily basis, whether it's the hundreds or the thousands that you serve. And you are uniquely positioned to influence and to be of purpose and service in their lives. And not just because of what your specific talents and gifts are, but remember last week when I talked about the whole idea of quantum physics and why metaphysics works, is that because of our energy and we influence the sphere that's closest to us, and then that sphere ends up influencing outwards and influencing inwards, we're called to be of service and we're called to be in our particular groups for a reason. And our voices matter because you are designed and you're destined to be of influence to those people around you. So that I want you to think about that when you start to compare yourself to the greats or to the bigger people or to whoever it is about, I'm not as good as X, Y, Z. Well, that's because you were not designed to be X, Y, Z. You were designed to be yourself, and you're designed to have the influence of the people that are around you, and your life and your being and your gifts are not by accident. Each of us are a walking miracle, and each of us, if you really sit down and thought about what does it take for a human life to come to being, and what does it take for a human life to not only come to being in this realm, but also to ascend to the age that we are now, you realize that the chances are that there are way more chances of you not being alive today than there are today. Like literally each of us that are here today represent 1 in a million of chance of being alive. I'm not going to break down, I do that in one of my courses, but the point is that it's too easy for us to not be here. So us being here must be for a reason, and it's not by accident that you're here. It's not by accident that you're still living this life and that you're breathing this breath. And it's not by accident that you have the gifts and the talents and the service and the joy and the love around you that you do, because it is designed, and you are designed to be a purpose to yourself and a purpose to the people around you. So I want you to think about that when you start, coming up with all of the reasons why you couldn't do it better, not good enough right now. And I also want you to think about all of the ways that imposter syndrome might show up for you. Because yes, it's really easy to say, imposter syndrome is when you're thinking about that you're not good enough. But for those of us that are really skilled and adept, we have other ways of distracting ourselves from our purpose without even always being conscious that that's what we're doing. And that's a little bit for those of you guys that just joined me, that I just talked a little bit about how I catch that in myself. And one thing that I do, I have a couple of tips of kind of when you catch that in yourself, how to keep going, how to keep being present, and how to keep being true and authentic to yourself. One is just knowing what your authentic voice is, knowing what that is that you're called to do and how you're called to serve and what's on your heart. Knowing what is, regardless of what anybody else says, is the thing that gives you joy. It's the thing that you can get into your Zen mode doing. It's the thing that builds you up, and it's the thing that edifies you. It's the thing that you would do whether you had 1 person watching, 0 people watching, or 10,000 people watching. Finding the seat of your joy and being clear about what that is one step in how we can get through imposter syndrome, because I would venture to say that none of us are ever over it at any point. I venture to say that you can have the Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, and you can have the Warren Buffetts. I don't know why I'm talking about all these white men, but you can have all these people that have gotten to this place and still have doubt about what the next best thing is, or doubt about where they're to be going next. But what sets them apart is that, and again, I'm not talking about just white men because I don't want to center them as the examples, and I'm really clear and honest and authentic about that. But what sets them apart, people in general that keep going, is that they're clear about what their joy is. They're clear about taking that time to cultivate that joy, and they keep using that to center themselves and to get stronger and bolder and more and have more self-belief about what their joy is. And they start to craft their lives and be authentic around that. And as they craft their lives and become authentic around that, they start to invite the people around them that that continue to just edify them and continue to affirm them and continue to be there for their highest good and continue to pour into them. Because when I was thinking about this a little bit earlier, I'm like, well, how do you know when something is joy or when something is a distraction? Or how do you know when someone around you are the people that are desired, that are meant to be there for you? And I think about it like this. The things that are really at your heart of hearts and your heart of joy and at that central place, it will always leave you feeling restored. It will leave you feeling better. It'll leave you feeling elevated. It'll leave you feeling whole. It'll leave you feeling just more of yourself, not outside of yourself or something temporary. It makes you feel more of yourself. It's not something that numbs you or distracts you or drowns you out, or takes you away from what your heart of hearts knows to be true. And that can be both people, it can be activities, it can be things, all of that is a way for you to be clear about what's really yours and what your true joy is. You guys see me close my eyes because I'll script out these talks, and I don't write down every single point that I'm going to make. One, because I do find it's a way for me to distract myself and talk myself out of my message, but also because I really want to leave space for God and my angels and my ancestors to pour through to me. And so when I close my eyes, it's a way for me just to get clear and to get calm, to get centered and to get open so that I can hear that voice within me. And so that's one way that we just kind of acknowledge what we're here to do and what brings us joy. And the other thing is to keep making commitments to show up. Not show up for everybody else around you, but show up for yourself. How are you showing up for yourself and showing up for your voice and showing up for your joy each and every day? What are the things that you're choosing to keep, and what are the things that you're choosing to release or to discard? What are the ways that you're crafting opportunities in space? What are the relationships that you're developing so that you can continue to cultivate this joy and cultivate this place of influence in a positive way? Those are some of the things that I'm thinking about as we're talking about choosing joy and about pushing through imposter syndrome. So that was what's on my heart for you to share with you guys today. I made the commitment to myself to show up every week. I made the commitment to you, and I did that because really spending time with you and speaking out loud what goes on in my head was joy for me. So I hope that you found this helpful. I'm finding myself a little bit nervous, and that's okay. I'm pushing through it. But before I sign off for this week, and I want to hear what's on your mind. What are you thinking about imposter syndrome? What are you thinking about joy? What are you thinking about some of the barriers that might come up for you, or the noticings that you have for yourself as you go through this journey of becoming more authentic? And if you're watching this on the replay, you know that I come back. I will definitely respond to your questions and your comments. But I hope this resonated with somebody. I see I have some viewers here. Just let me know that you're here. Say hi, give me a thumbs up, give me whatever your favorite emoji or GIF is at the time. And thank you for allowing me just to spend a few minutes with you this Sunday. And I hope that you go back to choosing joy and pushing through and believing in yourself today. And until next time, love you, ladies and gentlemen.